Okay, so this is a quadratic equation that we are going to solve using the quadratic formula. And so anytime you're solving a quadratic equation, you need to make sure everything is on one side of your equal sign. And so our first step is you can either move these two terms to the right side or you can move this 23 to the left side. A lot of people prefer to just move the 23. And then you can't combine it with anything, so you just rewrite every single term. And then now there's nothing on the right side, so it equals 0. You want to make sure you go from your x squared term to your x term to your constant term that doesn't have the variable, because that's going to give you your a value, your b value, and your c value, which are used in the formula. Something I don't like to do is technically this is a -1. You don't see the 1. I prefer to work with a positive a value. And so if that's you, if you prefer to work with a positive a value, you would just move everything to the right side and it would be 1x squared minus 10x plus 23. Everything would change signs. So I'm going to go ahead and do that because I prefer to work with positive numbers. And so if I were to move everything to the other side, that would become positive 1x squared minus 10x, and then a plus 23. And so once you have that set up, you identify your a value, your b value, and your c value. And so here, our a value is 1. Do better. Our b value is -10. Don't lose any negatives. And then our c value is 23. And so the quadratic formula is only used when your quadratic equation is not factorable. And so 23 is a prime number. There's no way you're going to find numbers that multiply to 23 but add to -10. So this is unfactorable, which is why we have to use the quadratic formula or use a calculator to graph it. And so the quadratic formula, I always sing a song, x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it's important to notice that all of this is over the 2a. A lot of people lose part of their fraction bar, so that's a common mistake I see. And then this radical extends to cover this whole expression under the radical. Okay, and so now we just plug in each of these values. And so x equals, we're going to have a negative or opposite. Negative and opposite mean the same thing. B plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so I put parentheses everywhere there was an A, B, or C, and then I just start plugging in those values afterwards. That way I don't mess up the formula. And so my A value, or let's start with our B value. Our B value is -10. And so B goes here and here. And then our C value is 23, and then our A value is 1. And so our A value goes here, and then I'm running out of colors. And then our C value goes here. Okay, so just getting this set up is half the battle. It's an ugly formula. And then I start number crunching. And so x equals, I number crunch this number. Negative is positive. That's why I say opposite in the song. Plus or minus the square root. And then -10 squared, no matter whether it's positive or negative, that's always going to give you a positive number because -10 times -10 is positive 100. And then minus 4 times 23, it's going to be 92. 4 times 1 times 23 is 92. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, so looking better each step, take it one step at a time. And then 100 minus 92 is 8. And so now I have 10 plus or minus the square root of 8 all over 2. And so now if you have a number under the radical, you want to try to simplify this radical as much as possible. And so simplifying radicals is a skill all in its own. And so I'm going to come over here and simplify that. And so I simplify radicals by making a factor tree. And so I can break that up into 2 times 4, 2 is prime, and then 2 times 2 would give me the 4. And so circle all your primes. So 8 is the same as 2 times 2 times 2. So that means I have a pair of 2's here. You could do either pair. And so anything that has a pair is going to come outside the radical right at 1 time. Anything that doesn't have a pair stays under the radical. And so this square root of 8 simplifies to 2 square roots of 2. And so we can rewrite our answer as 10 plus or minus 2 square roots of 2 all over 2. And now the square root of 2 that's under the radical can't interact with any other numbers, but this 10 and this 2 can be divided by this 2. And so that simplifies all the way to 5 plus or minus 1 square root of 2. Again, the 2 under the radical will not change. And so our final answer would be 5 plus or minus the square root of 2. And you can put your x equals in front of it.